Merry Christmas, everyone! I shouted as everyone gathered around the table in House Oradum's dining hall. The house was decorated with fir trees with silk tinsel, jeweled and polished metal ornaments, and lyrium-infused lights. I had implemented the holiday in the first year I was named a paragon. I even celebrated it on the 25th day of Herring, the Thetis equivalent of December. In lieu of the Christian reason of the holiday, I called it Christmas because I wanted it to represent a time of christening, or rechristening, relationships with friends and family. I also encouraged gift-giving on these days, specifying that a single gift be given to someone that encompasses your hopes and dreams for them in the coming year. I implemented the fir trees and decorations because it would just liven things up in Orzammar. One industrious surface caste family even came to me to ask about all the details of the holiday, and on the next Christmas, they rechristened themselves as the Kringle family and had dedicated their family's business to the holiday itself. They began planting and cultivating fir trees, and their smiths and artisans would work tirelessly year-round to create unique decorations, who commissioned them for their work. I was lucky enough that each year, the Kringles would gift me a House Oradum decoration and tree topper. Since I would get a new topper every year, I simply made it a habit to buy an additional tree from the Kringles to go with it. Over the years, the tradition would evolve for the dwarves, where they would christen new business partnerships, marriages between families, or new purposes for their families as well. Decorations would have their own hierarchy, with family symbols at the bottom of the trees, paragon decorations, whether they were figures or house crests, placed around the middle, and the ruling house's symbol as the tree topper. Some families would insist that House Oradum always be their tree topper, however. She started it, and she should be honored for it, they would say. Who could argue with that? Mother had recently fallen ill, and I wanted to help cheer her up, so I was all smiles and positive energy. She, among all my family other than Belin, had taken to Christmas with gusto. She enjoyed the decorations, colors, and meaning I put into the holiday. I had 2 Mrs. Claus-themed dresses made for her, and I to wear for the day, even though I never called it a Ms. Claus dress. She adored the white fur trim and how it contrasted with the red velvet. Farin, who was standing guard, wore a Santa hat. He actually liked that I'd slightly reimagined the holiday for the dwarves. While he never really got to participate in the morning festivities, he and I would always exchange presents and have a private dinner in the evenings after everyone had gone home or settled in for the evening. "Merry Christmas, my dear." Mother stood wearily and hugged me as tight as she could. "Oh, your house looks so lovely with all the decorations. You continue to outdo yourself." I hugged her back and smiled brightly. "It's a time for celebration. We should have festive surroundings for festive gatherings." "True enough," Father said as he wrapped his arms around us. He carefully helped Mother sit back down. "Breakfast looks lovely, Merida, and you've made too much for breakfast. You should have let our cooks help." "Nonsense!" I laughed as I scooped Belin up into a hug. "We made enough for the family and for the servants. Everyone deserves to enjoy a fine meal on a holiday." Belin gave me a hug. "Do you want to know what I got you for Christmas, sister?" I gasped in feigned shock. "But if you tell me, it won't be a surprise when I open the gift." Belin seemed to realize the mistake and quickly shook his head. "Oh, then I can't tell you. You'll just have to find out later." Everyone laughed as I put him back down and helped him into his chair. Gathered around the table were Mother, Father, Tree-Ann, Belen, Orta, Frandlin, Branka, Ogrin, Dagna, Triana, and Nerav. Nerav sat next to Tree-Ann, while Frandlin sat next to me. It was always nice to have everyone in one place. I knew that soon we wouldn't be able to have gatherings like this as often, so I took a moment to enjoy it. Frandlin's hand slipped gently over mine. I looked from his hand to meet his smile. "You seem lost in thought there." He chuckled as he squeezed my hand. "Oh," I shook my head softly, then led his gaze around the table with my own. I was just enjoying the moment. It's gatherings like these that I treasure so much, so I just wanted to take a moment to remember it. "I'm sure we'll have a lifetime more of them to come." He patted my hand. "You've created a wonderful holiday for friends and family to use to strengthen bonds." I leaned in and rested my forehead against his for a moment. A simple touch of affection that wasn't overtly embarrassing or untoward for nobility. Breakfast was wonderful. It was full of laughter, reminiscing, jokes, and storytelling. It was fellowship at its best, with all of the smiles and mirth that one could hope from a gathering of friends and family. I looked forward to so many more of these with everyone with me. The next few hours were spent walking through the streets of Orzammar, handing out gifts of goods and gold, giving back to the people who worked so hard to keep the city running. We went from door to door, knocking on each house and shop, giving our holiday greetings. For every gift we gave, we received one in turn. I always seemed to get more than mother and father combined, though. An especially large tree was brought into place in the crossroads of the entrance, market districts, and the arena. Dwarves gathered around it and placed an ornament on the tree representing their house, starting with dwarves from the servant caste to the merchant caste, the surface caste, warrior caste, nobles, then the ruling family. This was called the unity tree, and it was meant to represent how each caste supported the others. A reminder that it was those below the nobles and the rulers who truly kept dwarven society going, but also showing that the support of the lower branches were meant to hold up the best and brightest, who would continue to lead our society to ever-growing heights. There, we enjoyed impromptu gatherings and dinners in the streets of the city. We made our rounds through them. We'd partake in nibbles of the food, sips of the drinks, and share in the merrymaking before politely moving on to the next gathering. I was happy to see that most other noble families were doing the same thing, and we even met with Wojek at one of the gatherings. He and I shared a little dance. The evening culminated in a large party in the center of the city around the unity tree. Music and dancing were everywhere. There were people exchanging gifts, as well as old grudges being mended. One rather bold lad named Churst from a warrior family asked me for a dance as the music slowed. I was surprised, but most everyone cheered his nerve to even ask, so I agreed. The dance was perfectly fine, and Churst fawned over me the entire time, singing my praises and offering his service to me should I ever wish it. As soon as the song was over, however, Franlin stepped in and pulled me close, dancing to a slower tune. He wished we could simply enjoy the moment forever, and I have to admit that I shared the sentiment. It was nice being in the arms of someone who loved you on a holiday surrounded by kith and kin. He and I shared a few more dances before it was time to leave. The dances, however, became a new tradition to the holiday where members of lower castes would seek the hand of a noble to dance with. The act was called a churst, named after the fellow who first sought my hand out for a dance. Before I took my leave, I asked for everyone's attention. It took a few minutes for the gathered crowd to quiet down and focus on me. I thanked them all for attending the celebration and expressed how much it meant to me that they had taken to the holiday. I let them know that I considered them all my family in some way, and that I would work tirelessly for them so that days like this would be more common. I also asked their indulgence as I sang them a song.
Love yourself from every little Christmas. Let your heart be light. From now on, your troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, your troubles will be miles away. Here we are, past 9 days, happy golden days of yore.
That evening, Farron and I sat in the study of my home next to a crackling fire. "Please," I begged, "just open mine first." Farron sighed and resigned himself, pulling the wrapped box to his lap. "You know, it would be nice for you to open what I got you first, just once. I want to see the look on your face when you realize you've finally given me something that falls short to what I gave you." I laughed. "Well, you would have to really surprise me for that to happen." "We'll see," Farron huffed with a smile as he opened the present. Inside was a beard grooming kit, complete with copper and steel clasps and rings. "Wait, how did you know?" I smiled brightly. "You don't think I pay attention to your appearance, Farron, but I do. Ever since your beard has come in, you've been fastidious in its appearance. Never a hair out of place. A week or two ago, I noticed you stroking it, which you never do, so I assumed your brush and oils had started to run down. I had this kit made especially for you." "How did you know which oils I use?" he asked with amusement as he pulled out the thick brush and began to run it through his beard. "Oh, I didn't," I admitted, "but I described your beard and its typical sheen to my barber. He believed he would be able to pick the perfect oils for you. He also let me know who to go to for the brush and clasps." "You noticed the smallest detail and set to work on it," Farron sighed. "In truth, I didn't think you paid quite that much attention to me. It humbles me to realize that you do." I leaned in and gave him a hug. "You are my dearest friend, Farron. You've helped me achieve so much. I will always look for things you need to be happy." Farron returned the hug. "Not even you can see everything, Merida." "Well, I'll try anyway," I huffed playfully. "Now, it's your turn to open my gift," Farron insisted. I pulled the wrapped box to me. It was on the thinner side, but was nearly as wide as I was. I unwrapped the paper from the box and lifted the latch to open it. I took in a quick breath when I saw mithril gleaming back at me. It was a thin set of mithril shoulder pads that linked into a gorget. The front of the piece, strangely enough, had buttons on one side. "It's not typical armor," Farron explained. "That is meant to be set inside of a gambeson, so that it is hidden from enemy sight. Your shoulders and neck will be nearly impervious to harm." I marveled at the craftsmanship as I slipped it on. To my surprise, it was nearly a perfect fit, maybe just a bit too big. "It's wonderful, Farron. I had it made a little larger because I figured you still had another year or two of growth in you," he said proudly. I sneered at him. "Now it's my turn to ask how you knew my measurements." "I literally watch you every single day," he laughed. "I'd be embarrassed if I couldn't give your measurements." "Oh," I goaded. "So you know all of my measurements, do you?" "Down to the last." He clued into what I was suggesting. "I didn't mean it like that." I laughed and prodded him. "I'm just playing." "Uh-huh. There's an inscription on the inside of the gorget," he blushed. I took the mithril off and turned it about. Find the inscription. It made me blush. I ran my fingers over it, a quote from Dracula. "I have crossed oceans of time to find you." I couldn't help but tear up and smile at Farron. I hugged him tight. "Thank you, Farron. I don't know what I'd do without you." "Everything, Merida," he responded by returning the hug fiercely, just without me there to be a curmudgeon. I choked out a laugh and placed my forehead against his. "I need my curmudgeon, though. I used to be one in my last life. It's nice to still have one with me in this one." Farron chuckled. "Bah humbug." We laughed and enjoyed the rest of the evening, talking about our plans for the future and how we would soon be leaving for Ostagar.